Hello and welcome to Talk Truth. My name is Corey Huntsberger. I've got my father, Alan Huntsberger, in the studio. Dad, we're going to start off with our foundational verse because it's important today. We're going to need it, kind of just get that little juice flowing. You know what I'm saying? The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord. Did you hear that, everybody? The earth and everything in it, the world and its inhabitants belong to the Lord, for he laid a foundation on the seas and established it on the rivers. Psalm 24, 1 and 2. He is the creator. He knows everything, even your thoughts. How crazy is that, Dad?
That's right. I mean, you know, the psalmist brings it out because it basically says the creator of the earth knows every detail. Before he spoke light into existence, he knew Saul would fail. He knew Goliath would boast. He knew David would rise. And in 1 Samuel 16 shows God's eternal choice. He looks at the heart. Jesus echoes this in John 10, where he says, my sheep hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. So today, remember, you are not an accident. You are a part of God's eternal plan.
Ooh.
Think about that one.
Sizzling. Spitting out the fire, Pastor Allen. Well, I'm excited about today's show. We're covering a story that's making headlines across Alberta and beyond right now. Our guest is going to be Teej Johannesson, and he is a longtime volunteer high school football coach who is dismissed from his position after posting, Alan, a TikTok video. I know you don't like TikTok. I'm on TikTok, though. A TikTok video about what he sees happening with vulnerable kids, trans ideology, mental health. Here's a little clip of what he had to say on TikTok.
Now, post-2020, all those kids who have mental health issues and don't fit in with society are being recruited to be trans because trans is given as the answer to all their problems. It's the carrot that's being held out there as, hey, you're depressed, you're anxious, you don't fit in with society, you're trans. Come join our community. Come join our cult. Come be with us. We will love you. Love bombing, kindness. It's a cult. And it's recruiting the most vulnerable people in society. And then on top of that, it's even worse. It doesn't work. Their lives don't get better. The depression doesn't go away. They don't fit in any more than they did before. So they're promised that trans is going to be the answer to all their problems. Then trans isn't the answer to their problems. And they get even more depressed and more lonely. In these people who are depressed and on medications, you create this world where they literally view people, Christians and Catholics, as their mortal enemy. And then stuff like that happened today at a Catholic school in Minneapolis is happening more and more often. And it's not because of the instruments used. It's because of this trans ideology that has infected our society and has taken these kids, recruited them, and breeding hate to people who they view to be their oppressors.
Well, there he is. We got Teej Johannesson on the show. We also got Randy Crosson on the show. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Well, Teej, that was a powerful clip of TikTok. I would have to say, Alan, what do you think about that? Do you agree with what he said or do you disagree?
Well, I'm going, wow. I think this guy's a coach. I think he's a preacher. He better be a preacher. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The problem is it's true. That's the first thing that everybody's got to understand. It's true. And there's an indoctrination that basically what you find out is a kid that's gone through the trans ideology ends up now hating everybody, including Christians. And in fact, they even hate themselves. And they wish they could reverse what they did, but they're not because they're trapped. And, you know, as you know, Corey, some of them that we've interviewed, you know, they now are going to be on medication for the rest of their lives. And I've always said this, that a trans child is going to hate his parents for not being truthful with him or her and allowing them just to do what they think they should instead of understanding that God created us male and female and it stops there.
Mm-hmm. Teej, I know you're a man of faith. Let's start there. Let's talk about your testimony real quick, because that's the most important thing. How did you come to know the Lord?
You know, I grew up in a Christian home, and I questioned a lot of things as a child. I was just always like, you know, not really believing that it could be real, and just didn't make a lot of sense to me as a kid. And I saw some people that, in my life that we're Christians on Sunday and we're not every other day of the week. And as a kid, that didn't make sense to me. I was like, why are you so different when we show up when you're at church and compared to when you're not at church? And so I was kind of pushed away from God, and not that I didn't believe in him, but I needed to get what I felt was away from it, because I didn't want to be this hypocrite. But then COVID happened, and I started seeing first I started seeing signs of the devil, to be honest with you. Before I really even started, seeing God, because I think I was refusing to see God. I think that I was scared to see God. I started seeing the devil in everything that was going on in our society. And then the trans thing hit, and I just started seeing stuff on social media. Like, they just started popping up, and they were just Bible verses that literally were saying things along the lines of the enemy will come after the children first. He'll come after the children because those are God's favorite, right? And so every day, it was multiple times a day, and then it was just matching, and I just felt so bad about what was going on. And then I just felt the need to start speaking up. And then every time I did, people would just say they were praying for me and asking me to continue. And then I couldn't ignore God anymore. And he was clearly there. He was clearly there for me. I don't mean to get emotional, but it just, it was so evident that he's there and he's looking out for me. So now I'm full steam ahead with him right on, with him right on my back and protecting me as I go through this kind of difficult time, but also amazing time in my life too. So.
Yeah. Well, Alan, I understand difficult times for sure. We all, anyone who's actually stood up and spoken, truth definitely feels the fire and gets the cancel culture chasing them down. I want to ask you about the video that you posted on TikTok. It's about a 4-minute video. We didn't play it all. It was just a clip of it. What made you record that? What was on your mind and in your heart when you hit the record button to send that message to your following on TikTok?
Well, it's been something that I've been kind of talking about for a couple of years now. I see that there's a trans ideology that is created by adults and funded by big pharmaceutical companies and backed by the devil, who is coming after vulnerable kids. And it's so clear to me when I started reading the research, and not the mainstream pharma funded research, but the actual research, the reason why the Tavistock Clinic in the UK is being shut down, the reason why European countries are stopping this stuff. I started realizing that there's no good science towards this, and there's no way that this isn't nothing but or anything but harmful. And that there was an ideology that was being pushed by adults onto vulnerable kids. And of course they go after vulnerable kids because those are the easiest ones to convince. So when you're a kid, and I was this kid, so I know when you're a vulnerable kid and you're not happy, you're feeling isolated, you've got depression, you have anxiety, all you want is hope that it will end. You want hope. And what we need is the hope for all kids is God. But the enemy is now giving this hope. Nowadays, it's this trans ideology where they tell you, well, if you become trans, all your problems will go away. And then inevitably they're led down a path of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and gender reassignment surgery, which everyone says, oh, that's not happening, but it is happening. And it's happening in massive numbers to our children. And I'm seeing this. And for me, it was just, when I saw the shooting, the shooting at that Catholic church of those children, this is now becoming a trend. This just happened a couple years ago, or a year and a half ago. Another trans person walked into a Christian school and killed people. There's other examples of people that identify as trans or non-binary that are doing these things. And so when I see a data set, a trend that is emerging, a new trend. This is new. This is not, we didn't have this before. Yes, we've had mass shootings before, but not because of these reasons. I made a point that said, the 2012 shooting at Parkland and the movie theater shooting in 2019 those were done by the same people who did these current shootings. But trans wasn't popular then, so they just weren't trans at that point. But they were still mentally ill people struggling on SSRIs, all the same symptoms. But now we have this trans label that's now given to these people, and so now we're seeing this trend. And so I had to make the video because I just had a daughter. She's 9 months old. I'm a new father, and I can't have her growing up in a place where Christians and Catholics are being attacked because people are being brainwashed into this trans ideology where they're told that it's going to be okay. And to be very clear, this is not against any person. This is against an ideology that recruits people and tricks these people. These people, as horrible of the acts that they've done, they are victims to this ideology, and then they're down the path. And I have to speak up and stop it because I can't live with myself if I don't, regardless of consequences. It's just, that's who I am.
Well, one of the things that's amazing is, you're absolutely right. And one of the things that, I've noticed in my lifetime is that, to speak up against things that are destroying people's lives, is very intimidating to start off with. And then after you get through that, I remember when I was attacked, the first response that I did was the wrong response. And Corey, my son, he actually pointed that out to me. No, Dad, you did the wrong thing, and it was like, well, yeah. Well, why did I do it? I did it out of fear. I didn't do it because I did anything wrong, nor did I say anything wrong. But I did it because of fear. And so that's why, you need Christian brothers and sisters who understand this to be behind you and to stand with you on this, because it's very important.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what happened after you posted the video. How long did it take before you got the call from the school? And take us through that whole scenario, what they said, and how all that happened.
Yeah, so it was probably about 3 or 4 days after the video was posted. My football team, we just had a game on the Friday night, and we won that game. And then Saturday came and nothing there. And then Sunday came and nothing there until about 9 o'clock at night on Sunday. I had received a phone call from the principal of the school and that I was coaching at, and she said that I had violated the Education Act based on my TikTok video, and that my beliefs did not align with their beliefs. And I think that's, the crux of the position here is I didn't sign up to be a volunteer coach to also sign up for your beliefs. And I think that's the problem here, is that I don't have to take on your beliefs simply because I'm volunteering my time for free to coach and mentor kids that are at your school. But that apparently was good enough for her. That TikTok video did not align with her beliefs. And she let me go. And then I tried to tell her that this wasn't going to go, extremely well for her, because I have so much support with my players and with the parents of my players. And so, of course, I'm devastated. This is my 10th year at this school. Like I said, I've poured thousands of hours into this school. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. I'm now devastated. Now I'm messaging my players and letting them know exactly what happened. I'm saying, this is why. Here's the TikTok video. Please make this, watch the video and judge for yourself. If you agree with the principal, totally fine. But if you don't, and you want to speak up for me, please do. That at 9:30 at night, the superintendent of schools emails me. Never talked to this guy in my life. And he's like, we need to meet tomorrow. Stop talking to the parents. You're no longer permitted to talk to the parents. You're no longer permitted to talk to the players. And I didn't really understand that because I was no longer working for the schools at all. So I don't know why he thought he could tell me I couldn't talk to my players or parents. But what had happened is they had upwards of 60 emails immediately, very upset emails from my parents, from my players, basically telling them how disgusted. The theme in these emails was, we are disgusted. We've seen the video. We agree with the video. There was an email that said, how dare you get rid of our coach for his Christian values, which myself and my family share. That was from a player that said that there. So this didn't just hit me. It wasn't just that a beloved coach was being kicked off. It was that he was being kicked off for the same values that many of our players and their parents have. And that's the problem in our school system today. There's only one belief that's allowed in the school system. And they're allowed to, hang the rainbow flag. And if that offends a Christian, personally, I'm offended by the rainbow flag because that's God's promise to us. But they don't care about the Christian kids, and they don't care about how they feel. It seems that it's kind of one-sided. And so they were inundated with these emails, and then the superintendent was forced to meet with me, and he basically towed the line. I met with him, and he said the same thing, we have to have safe and inclusive. And I tried to press him on, well, what did I say that was exclusive? Like, did you even watch the TikTok video? And he said, yes. And I said, well, what specific part of it was offensive? And he wouldn't even give me an answer. And then eventually I kept pressing and kept pressing and kept pressing. He's like, well, I didn't memorize the whole video. And I was like, well, you're calling me here for a meeting about this video. You should probably maybe have written it down, which part, is the main problem. But I didn't get any answers. And that's when I started getting media requests. And that's when Freedom's Advocate reached out to me. And it's really, thank goodness for them, because they've been a big help in this, and on a lot of different ends of this. So yeah, that's basically what happened. And it's just snowballed. The Western Standard picked it up, and then Rebel News picked it up. And then I did the Sean Newman podcast, and now I'm talking to you wonderful people here. So it's kind of taken on a life of its own, because I think people are just sick and tired of not being able to express Christian views in Canada, which is founded on Christian views.
Totally.
Brother, we've been saying that every day for the last 4 years on television. It's amazing. It's like my head's going to pop. We say it so often. You brought it up. I'm going to quickly throw it over to Randy. Randy, you're with the Freedom Advocates group. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what you guys do?
Well, Freedom's Advocate is a charity. In Canada, you can't have a law firm that's a charity. So we had to start a separate entity to be able to fund cases. The challenge we saw, several years ago was that, we were getting cases, we were fighting them in the courts, but a lot of the cases that should have gone forward, that were really strong precedent-setting cases, didn't go forward because they didn't have the money, and we didn't have the money. So we started a charity. My late wife, Carol, was running a lot of cases. We were winning about just over 90% of our cases. And so we've stuck with that mandate and her, the methodology she created. And so when we see cases like this, we reach out and try and connect with that person, because, we'll do a lot of research on it as much as we can prior to connecting to make sure that it's a good, sound case. And then, of course, meeting Teej, you realize that this is a young man who knows what he believes, and he's standing strong with it, and he's willing to stand strong. And as you guys have alluded to, it takes a little bit. There's nothing simple about this. He's going to get a lot of criticism, but he's got what it takes to stand. Yeah.
Teej, what kind of attacks are you under? Can you give us some example of how the cancel culture is coming after you?
Well, it's honestly been, I would honestly say, 85-90% positive. I have received, since the media outlets dropped, I've received just so many messages of support and prayer, like just people saying that their whole family's praying for me, and like that's pretty powerful. So it's been good, but of course there's been backlash. Now what they're trying to do is just assassinate my character. So now, actually yesterday, there was a teacher at the school that this happened at who doesn't like the attention that his school is getting. And now he's all over Facebook making incredibly vague statements about me, that I was banned from 7 different schools for coaching, and I was banned from all, like just using very aggressive words, but with no context and no reasons why I was, banned. So he's trying to be vague on purpose to try to convince people that I'm some sort of terrible monster that was banned from all these coaching positions, which is completely untrue and provably a lie. So I've got to look at my options for that in court, because he's slandering me into my community. I live in a small community of Sylvan Lake. My business is, so I volunteer coach at the school, but my business, my livelihood is actually coaching kids in my sports camps. And so he's trying to slander me and make me seem like, and I think we can all draw the conclusion of where he's trying to go by being this vague. A coach is banned from coaching children. What is he trying to make people think? We can all jump to that. That's his intention. he can never actually say that because then he would be sued out. You know what I mean? But so being vague is he's trying to protect himself, and it's working to a point, like to the people that already wouldn't support me, like the people that are already on board and don't like what I'm saying. But it's not working in the whole, because in the whole, in general, people aren't like the people that know me, and the kids that I've coached and their parents, they know none of that is true. And I'm not allowed to even, the frustrating part for me is I've been advised by my lawyer, who Freedom Advocate has provided to me, to not comment or defend myself on that, even though I want to so badly, because I think I can easily defend myself with proven emails from the schools that he's saying. Because, like, for example, and I want to get this out here, I've since 2009, so 16 years, I've coached at a number of different schools, because as a volunteer coach, nothing is guaranteed. As a volunteer coach, if they find a coach at the school that wants to coach, they will always ask or if they find a teacher at the school, they will always ask the teacher to coach. And there's been a couple situations where I've coached for a couple years, and then they say, hey, we've got a new teacher that wants to coach. We're good to go. See you later. Good luck on your next journey. And I have all these emails stating that exact thing, like, hey, let us know if you need us to use this as a reference for your next position. And it's very simple. When he's saying I've been banned from all these places, and he's saying he's known I've been banned from all these places, well, then why did I have a job in the first place? Why did I continue to get jobs year after year after year in and around the same area of central Alberta if it was known about me that I was banned from all these things? So it's obviously nonsense. And he's trying to, this is their last, it's their last ditch effort to make me shut up. He actually messaged me. He's a former friend of mine, actually, which is sick. And now he's coming out against me because he doesn't like that his school is getting, the attention that it's getting. I asked him, I said, you need to stop. You're lying about me. And he said, I'll stop when you stop. And I said, okay, I guess we're both going to keep going then.
Wow. So let me ask you this. You're in the fire. You've gotten support from the community, obviously the majority. It's always the loudest ones that hurt the most, right? They're very loud, very vicious. What do you think your future holds? What is this about? Because you know what, Al and I are excited. We've seen this before. And by the way, we've done this before, interviews like this. And we do invite the principal and the superintendent and anyone from the school that would like to share their side of the story. We want you to contact us on air at talktruth.ca. And we'd love to have you on the show to be able to have the conversation with you. Where do you think this is going for you? And I'm talking about like the spiritual thing. I know you got to go through the whole rigmarole of the figuring out of what to do with the courts and all that kind of stuff. What is God saying to you? Why is he got his finger, or it feels like his thumb, on you, man? Why is he saying, you know what, Teej, I love you so much. I'm going to send you a bunch of pain and torment because I love you and I know you can get through this. Why has God picked you?
Okay, this is going to be tough to get through that. I think I've always felt like I have a greater purpose. Even when I kind of tried to ignore God, I've always felt like he's given me gifts and abilities. I've always been a very good speaker. I've always been able to articulate my words well and think outside the box and be open-minded to things, and I have a lot of gifts that he's given me, and I'm not saying that as a brag on myself. These are gifts that he has given and bestowed upon me to use for good in the world. And I don't know what the end thing is on this. I don't know what my future holds. I'm excited to have found God again, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm really excited. I really am. I have no idea. I'm putting my faith in him and trusting that he's leading me down this, and he knows that I can handle that. I've been through a lot of tough things in my life, and I've gotten through it. So we're going to go through the pain, and we're going to come out on top, and it's going to be great. And I'm really excited to see what God has planned for me in the future. So that was a great question.
Pastor Allen, I'll give you the last word.
We're excited too. And if you ever need somebody to bounce things off that's kind of gone through the fire, and you want a cup of coffee or whatever, give me a call. I'll be there for you. And so will Corey.
I love that. Thank you, sir.
You know you're exactly where the Lord wants you to be because you're excited, but you're absolutely miserable at the same time. It's a weird, and I'm telling people, unless you've been in it and you've done it, you'll never understand what we're talking about. But it kind of reminds me, there's like a bunch of prisoners from Vietnam, and they got out of prison. But as they, would get together every once in a while, all they could talk about is they wish they were back in prison, because when they were miserable, being beaten, tormented, you know what I mean? Starving to death, they were at complete peace because God was in that prison cell with them, and they missed the presence of the Lord. That's what they missed the most, because they knew they were exactly where they were supposed to be and God was with them. Teej, we appreciate you. And Randy, where can we go to help Teej?
freedomsadvocate.ca. That allows you to go in. You can donate under the free speech tab, and that allows us to continue fighting cases like Teej's all across the country. And, the interesting thing, what he just shared with you, that's what I hear pretty much from all of our clients. All of them are in that boat. And you guys have really well, you've done a very good job of describing that feeling of being in the center of God's will. And that's, without exception, all of them are in the same boat. And it just, I count it such an honor to be able to support all of these people. It's amazing.
Yeah. And Teej,
freedomsadvocate.ca.
Okay. And Teej, just so you know, this is normal. When you raise your hand and you say, Lord, send me, I'm willing to be a vessel for your work, this is what happens. and I think the Lord hides it from us, because who would say that? You know what I mean? Who'd sign up if you knew exactly what you're signing up for? But just so you know what you're feeling, thousands of generation of God-loving, God-fearing people have gone through the exact same thing. So this is normal. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have you back as we follow your story.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I just appreciate it so much. And thank you, Randy, for joining me here today and everything you're doing for me as well.
See, God's doing something, everybody. He's calling people to stand up and rise, and people are standing up and rising to the occasion. Amen. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You want to help support this mission? You can. We are viewer supported. We don't take government funds or social interest groups. It's only because of the generosity of those that watch our show that we're able to continue to tell these stories across our nation that needs it so badly. You can go to our website, gotalktruth.com, click on donate. If you'd like to do it through the mail, you can. You can make your gift payable to Heritage Christian Ministries Association and send it to 246 Stewart Green Southwest, Suite 3260, Calgary, Alberta, T3H 3C8. All right, Dad, we're out of time. We'll see you guys later.
Love you.